welcome. You are watching World Business Report here on News 9 Live. I am Krishna Kumar. Now we begin with Wall Street, which took a bit of a breather after weeks of sustained rallies. The closing bell on Monday on Wall Street witnessed a downturn as market heavyweights shed all those recent gains and investors turned cautious ahead of U.S. jobs data that is set to come out this week, and that could potentially alter expectations about when the U.S. Central Bank, the U.S. Federal Reserve, might cut interest rates. More details in this Reuters report.
U.S. stocks ended lower on Monday after a 5-week rally as investors turned cautious ahead of jobs data this week that could alter expectations about when the Federal Reserve might cut interest rates. The Dow dipped 0.1%, the S&P 500 shed 0.5%, and the Nasdaq lost more than 0.8. Traders widely expect the central bank to keep rates unchanged at its meeting next week, as does Kevin Mon, President and Chief Investment Officer at Hennion & Walsh Asset Management, who believes one more rate hike is enough to push the economy into a recession.
However, if they stop here, keep rates where they are for the first 2 quarters of next year, navigate through this expected economic slowdown, and then start to cut interest rates towards the second half of the year, not only could they actually navigate a soft landing, but that could lead into an ultimate economic recovery and good returns for both stock and bond markets over the next 3 years, when interest rates are forecasted to come down by nearly 3% by the Federal Reserve's own projections.
In company news, shares of Alaska Air tumbled 14% after the carrier said on Sunday it would acquire the parent company of peer Hawaiian Airlines for $1.9 billion, including debt. Shares of Hawaiian Holdings nearly tripled in value. Shares of cryptocurrency firms such as Coinbase Global, Riot Platforms, and Marathon Digital rallied between 5% and 9% after Bitcoin crossed $42,000 for the first time since early 2022. Megacaps Microsoft, Apple, Nvidia, and Amazon all lost ground, but shares of ride-hailing service Uber Technologies rose more than 2% after an announcement on Friday it will join the S&P 500 effective December 18th.
Now, let's take a look at what we can expect going forward. There's a growing anticipation surrounding indicators hinting at a potential plateau in interest rates globally. And that's inviting speculation about what the future financial landscape will look like, assuming that rates will not be going up too much in the near future, at least. About interest rates and what else we can look out for as far as the macroeconomic and financial indicators globally are, this report tells you all.
From key U.S. jobs data to Australia's central bank, these are the stories to watch in business and finance. Investors are keeping an eye on Friday's U.S. jobs report, which economists polled by Reuters expect to show an addition of 175,000 jobs in November. But if the number is much stronger, it could undercut bets the Federal Reserve will begin easing monetary policy sooner than expected. If it's much weaker, then that could spark fears the economy is beginning to roll over. It appears less likely the Reserve Bank of Australia will hike interest rates on Tuesday after cooler than expected consumer inflation data. But traders aren't ruling out a rate hike at the next meeting in February. New Governor Michelle Bullock is increasingly seen as more hawkish than her predecessor. Consumer price index data from Tokyo due on Tuesday could provide a hint of how soon the Bank of Japan can begin its own, much-delayed tightening campaign. Whether business and the economy could even weather a return of higher interest rates will also be clearer from the Tenkan corporate sentiment surveys and GDP data later in the week. EU members and finance ministers are meeting on Friday to iron out new fiscal rules. But turmoil is brewing. Germany is staring down a more than $18 billion sized hole in next year's budget. And in the Netherlands, coalition talks are stumbling after far-right, anti-EU Geert Wilders' shock election win. All unwelcome news as the EU seeks more cash from members.
Now, that's what we can expect in the week going forward. But the last week, up until Cyber Monday, was a retail frenzy that echoed in the soaring statistics of Cybertruck sales and painting a picture of the evolving consumer sentiment landscape as well. This report tells you more.
From a splurge by US shoppers to why Elon Musk says the future just arrived, this is the week in numbers. $12.4 billion was the record spending by US consumers on Cyber Monday. That's according to estimates by Adobe Analytics. But Walmart and other retailers have warned that squeezed household budgets could crimp spending over the holiday season. About $61,000 is the starting price set for Tesla's much-delayed Cybertruck, which is now finally being delivered to customers. That price is over 50% higher than first promised, making the pickup more of a luxury item. Auto experts say that casts doubt on sales prospects, but Tesla boss Elon Musk is feeling bullish.
I think it's our best product. I think it's the most unique thing on the road. And finally, the future will look like the future.
About 2.2 million barrels per day is the cut to output agreed by members of the OPEC group of oil-producing nations. But crude prices actually fell after the agreement, with traders skeptical that the voluntary reductions would actually materialize. Almost $5.5 billion is the pile of debt that brought down European real estate giant Signa, which filed for insolvency. It's the biggest victim so far of a property price slump sparked by soaring interest rates. And $9.3 billion is how much General Motors says new labor deals that were agreed to end the recent strike will cost it. But that didn't stop the auto giant setting out plans for a major share buyback and a big hike in shareholder dividends.
Now, amidst Bitcoin's fresh ascent to a year high, the surge in crypto stocks has caught everyone's eye, and that's ushering in a wave of investor frenzy and along with it, market volatility as well.
Crypto-related stocks surged on Monday as Bitcoin briefly passed $42,000 for the first time since April 2022. The world's biggest cryptocurrency has seemingly cast off the funk that settled over crypto markets following the collapse of FTX and the failures of other crypto-related businesses. It has rallied 50% since mid-October and is up by over 150% so far this year, on course for its best annual performance since 2020. Bitcoin's momentum appears fueled by the possibility of U.S. interest rate cuts and traders betting that the U.S. will soon approve exchange-traded Bitcoin funds. A spot Bitcoin ETF could allow previously wary investors access to crypto via the stock market, ushering a new wave of capital into the sector. The momentum is helping boost companies tied to the cryptocurrency, like MicroStrategy, a Bitcoin investor. Its shares up more than 8% in Monday morning trading. And shares of crypto exchange Coinbase rose 7.5%. The stock is coming off a stellar month, rising nearly 62% in November, even as Coinbase reported a decline in third-quarter trading volumes. Investors have also welcomed the settlement of a years-long U.S. criminal probe into Binance, the world's largest crypto exchange and a key cog in the worldwide crypto market. The deal, which saw Binance's founder step down after pleading guilty to breaking U.S. anti-money laundering laws, allows the company to continue operating. Another cryptocurrency, Ether, also rose on Monday, hitting $2,274. Both Bitcoin and Ether, however, remain far below their record highs hit in 2021 of $69,000 and $4,868, respectively.
On to some news from the world of aviation, where Hawaiian Airlines, as a parent company, is set to have a groundbreaking buyout deal, and that announces coming in from Alaska Air is set to have a major impact on the aviation industry, especially the one in the U.S. This report tells you more.
Shares of Hawaiian Airlines' parent company, Hawaiian Holdings, nearly tripled on Monday after Alaska Air agreed to buy the rival airline for $1.9 billion, including debt. The deal comes after Hawaiian shares had lost more than half their value this year due to the impact of the Maui wildfires, high fuel costs, and jet engine recall issues for some of its planes. Alaska and Hawaiian said on Sunday that the deal will expand their networks and offer more choices to passengers. One analyst told Reuters the deal will enable Alaska to grow in the lucrative Asia-Pacific market, while Hawaiian customers can travel nonstop to the U.S. mainland with minimal further investment. However, regulatory resistance to the merger is a possibility. The U.S. Justice Department filed a lawsuit in March to stop JetBlue from buying Spirit Airlines, saying the planned merger would, quote, put travel out of reach for many cost-conscious travelers. Shares of Alaska Air ended down more than 14% at Monday's close.
Now, from air to waters, setting sail into uncharted waters is the cruise industry, which is anticipating record-breaking traveler numbers for the upcoming year 2024, and that's hinting at a strong rebound post the pandemic, when the cruise industry was one of the worst hit in the world.
Cruise ship operators are steaming ahead to a potentially strong 2024. US cruise operators and travel agents said travellers have booked heavily for next year, even more than before the global health crisis. Cruises are in demand as they are widely seen to be cheaper than land-based alternatives, and with such popularity, operators plan to hike prices in the coming months. One CEO described the market as extremely strong and picked out the high-end luxury part of the sector as doing a roaring trade. One industry watcher said bookings made in November for next year were about a fifth higher than in the same period in 2019. Royal Caribbean Group CEO Jason Liberty also said recently that demand was outpacing 2019 levels by a wide margin. Trade body Cruise Lines International Association said about 35.7 million passengers are expected to set sail next year, up from 31.5 million in 2023. The figure is about 6% more than in 2019. But there is one big catch for cruise lines as demand soars. Bookings could be held back due to a lack of capacity. Carnival CEO Josh Weinstein said earlier this year volumes for next year will fall back as the company could run out of inventory to sell. Smaller operators also say volumes are overflowing.
All right, from air to water to cars, where the U.S. government has initiated an inquiry into Chevrolet's Volt. 73,000 of Chevy Volts are under scrutiny due to reported power loss concerns. What is this probe all about? More in this report.
Chevrolet's plug-in hybrid Volt, a favorite among consumers after it debuted back in 2010, is now under investigation by U.S. auto regulators for alleged incidents involving loss of power, failures to restart, and other issues. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration said it was looking into 73,000 Volts, model years 2016 through 2019, after 61 complaints tied to the Battery Energy Control Module, or BECM, which manages the charging and use of the hybrid battery. Some said there was little to no warning before the loss of operating power or reduced power mode occurred. Parent company General Motors previously issued a technical service bulletin saying if vehicles fail to restart, the BECM may need to be replaced and reprogrammed. That's according to NHTSA, which added that GM has not issued any recalls. Some owners have told NHTSA they have waited months or been unable to get replacement battery modules after experiencing the issue. An owner in Los Angeles said the Volt, quote, suddenly and unexpectedly lost propulsion while driving, adding that the vehicle is no longer able to turn on or drive. Another said the Volt would not drive more than 35 miles per hour on the highway and that it randomly stopped driving when in electric mode. The automaker did not immediately comment on the investigation. The Volt topped Consumer Reports' annual owner satisfaction survey in both 2011 and 2012. GM ended production of the car in 2019.
Now, here's a bizarre story from Albania. All the way from Albania. Albania's opposition party protested against the budget presented by the government in a rather fiery way. They deployed smoke bombs to voice their dissent. And amidst those heightened tensions, protests intensified mainly over the fiscal decisions that were made in the budget, and that reflected the public discontent with the government's financial plans as well. Take a look at this special report.
Zoti Noga je I përjashtuar nga seanca. Çdo 83 vota pro miratohet në parim. Projekt ligj për disa shtesa në ligjin numër 92/2014 për tacimin mbi vlerën e shtuar në Republikën e Shqipërisë ndryshore së këvendit, votimi do të jetë në parim, hapet votimi për prezencën. 73 deputet janë prezent, mbyllet votimi, vazhdojmë me votimin e akteve për disa ndryshime në ligjin numër 61.
Right, pictures tell that story, don't they? Meanwhile, moving to China, where property giant Evergrande's impending liquidation is set to face a delay as the hearing has been pushed to the month of January next year, January 2024, and that is essentially prolonging the uncertainty around the troubled real estate conglomerate's future, which will also determine the future of China's troubled property market as well.
China Evergrande has been given extra time to deal with its debt crisis. A court hearing into its potential liquidation was due on Monday, but the struggling property giant was given an adjournment until January 29th. The firm now has more time to finalize a new offshore debt restructuring plan. Evergrande is the world's most indebted developer and has more than $300 billion in liabilities. A final hearing had been due Monday before a decision was made on whether to liquidate the company in the absence of a so-called concrete restructuring plan. Last week, Reuters reported it scrambled to revise its restructuring deal to avoid liquidation. One legal advisor called the decision to give Evergrande more time somewhat surprising, but added the company will likely get wound up at the next hearing if it does not come up with a plan accepted by all classes of creditors. Evergrande's lawyer told the court the developer expects to refine its restructuring proposal in the next 5 weeks. The company's debt worries have been a major concern for global investors, as the property sector makes up a quarter of China's economy. The firm defaulted on offshore debt in 2021. It has also worked on a debt revamp plan for almost 2 years. Investors liked what they heard about the adjournment though, and the company's stock jumped more than 13% before tracing back.
Shifting focus to the popular music streaming platform Spotify, which has come under scrutiny. Is Spotify under big trouble? Because they are set to undertake their third round of layoffs this year, and this time around 1,500 jobs are set to be cut. What is going on with Spotify? This report tells you more.
Spotify will lay off around 1,500 employees, or 17% of its headcount. The music streaming giant said Monday it was to bring down costs. It's the third round of layoffs at the company this year. It let go 600 of its staff in January and 200 more in June. Spotify's CEO Daniel Ek sent a letter to employees explaining the company hired more in 2020 and 2021 due to the lower cost of capital. He further said the firm considered smaller reductions over the next 2 years, but he went with a larger cut now due to the gap between Spotify's financial goals and current operational costs. Spotify invested more than $1 billion to build up its podcast business, signing celebrities like Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, as well as Kim Kardashian. It also expanded its market presence in most countries as it tries to reach 1 billion users by the next decade. It currently has 601 million users, up from 345 million at the end of 2020. The company swung to a profit in the third quarter, helped by price hikes and its streaming service and subscriber growth in all regions. Job cuts have been a feature of this year for tech companies. Some have begun reducing their workforce again recently, with announcements coming from Amazon and Microsoft-owned LinkedIn.
Right, away from Spotify, but keeping it with more news under pressure to engineer perfection. A dam driver reflected on the high stakes that are involved in constructing a so-called Ferrari of dams, and that showcases the intense precision demanded in such kind of huge infrastructure projects. Take a look at this special report.
Definitely there was an added pressure because we were shooting it in Modena and the Ferrari iconography is very obvious, as well as people reminding you on a daily basis how much Ferrari means to that area specifically in Italy, not to mention Italy overall. So the pressure was on to kind of get it right.
Now, draped in elegance, the newly honored Kennedy Center recipients graced the red carpet, basking in the limelight and celebrating all their achievements. Have a look at this.
Good. Very excited. Thank you so much for coming. My pleasure. Bye-bye.
It's a great satisfying feeling. It's an awesome feeling that your work has been recognized and appreciated and felt worthy of this beautiful medallion at the Kennedy Center.
You know, I feel very fortunate that my music has been instrumental in making people feel good, feel happy, inspired, joyous. In so many areas that music has a way of making people feel.
In music, you can say anything you want that seems beautiful to you. When you say it, it doesn't work the same way. When you put it into music and sing it, it means something so much.
Keeping it with star-studded affairs, Oprah Winfrey and Selena Gomez headlined the glittering guest list at the Academy Museum Gala in Los Angeles. Have a look at this.
Beautiful. And then one more over here, please.
For the color purple.
Leo, right down here in the middle. Leo, you look great today. Look right straight ahead. Stephanie, right here. Great. And then, thank you for the Thomas Marshall.
And on your right. Thank you.
And Eva, just down in the center here. Ava, yeah. And Eva, straight ahead. And Ted, over here. That smile.
And that's all we have time for in this edition of World Business Report. Thank you so much for watching. This is Krishna Kumar signing off. Keep it with News 9.